What's going on, folks? This is Colion Noir, and this is another episode joining you on this Monday afternoon of CN Live. Had a pretty good weekend, got quite a bit done, and then did a little bit of nothing as well. But more importantly, tomorrow is a big day because tomorrow will be the presidential elections. Now, I voted early because I'm a good boy. But for the majority of America, they will be going out and voting for our next president of this country. With that being said, joining me live is Raso, here to talk about none other than the election. So, off the top, how do you feel about this election thus far? How do you feel things have gone from an election standpoint?
Well, if I had to sum it up to one word, I would say concerned. And I say that because of all the things that we've done, all the education that we put out there, all the effort that we put into this, and the extensive research that we've done on educating people. But yet there's still the majority of people out there that you run into on a daily basis that just don't get it. They don't understand how important this election is for the future of our country. I mean, the last 8 years should be a pure example of that. And the people that blow all this stuff off that has impacted us negatively, why that is, I'm not sure. But to be able to perpetuate that and continue that with Clinton in office just blows my mind. And anybody that has done that research and gets it and interacts with our society on a daily basis and that's educated, they obviously look at that and see the negative effects she's going to continue to have. So concern is definitely an attitude that I have right now. But we've done so much. I just hope that people understand the level of impact that she'll continue to have negatively on our country, especially for freedom. When we talk about the NRA, when we talk about the Second Amendment, how long ago is it, Colion, that we've sat down and had conversations about the NRA is not just about the Second Amendment. Yeah. It's about freedom. Yeah. It's about a generation and a future of freedom. And it's people that understand that truly embrace why it's so important to fight for every right we have, not just the Second Amendment.
I think one of my biggest issues with this entire election has been this kind of overemphasis on division in a lot of ways. And I know people can lay blame on both sides in what respect. But I hate doing it, hate saying this because it sounds so cliche. But I really do believe our media has a big part to play in that. We've essentially divided this country along so many artificial and invisible lines. I don't think we've ever got to a point in this country where we actually really talked about issues. Like we kind of did grandstanding talks of issues especially during our during the debates. But I really don't feel like we've really gotten to the root of the issues that are really important to this country and talked about them in a meaningful enough way that people would have a modicum of information to actually make an informed decision on. Like you said, we've gone out of our way to try to put out as much information as possible to educate people, but we aren't the mainstream media. The majority of America isn't consuming the content that we're putting out there. And right now, I think a lot of people still have this mentality that the only media they can trust is the mainstream media.
Well, that's all some people have.
Yeah,
but
true.
If you think about how me and you and the guys that are trying to educate people in the right way, we don't do things for ratings. We don't sit here and put a plan together and say, oh, you know what, Colion, we're going to come together because we want to get X amount of views and ratings. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And that's what we always go back on, is that what is the right thing to do to move forward? And the perception that the media has created is such a negative one, because what do you watch? You want to watch the bad clips. You want to watch the train wrecks. You're like, I can't get enough of this stuff. Let me click it again. And when you start listening to what we have to say, you're like, oh, we're talking about facts and education and research, and you tend to put that off.
It's not as juicy.
It's not as juicy. And at the end of the day, you talk about that division. As a country, we have never been so divided before in the history of our country. And when we wake up together, we're on the same page and we're shoulder to shoulder in everything that we do. We've eaten dinner together. We've written scripts together. We've done so many things to say, how do we move forward as a unit, as a United States together? Like all the white, black, Asian, I don't care what you are. If you're in this border and you care about the future of this country, you're on the same page as me. So the division is a created thing by the media, by politicians that just are using it for their agenda, which Hillary, no question, has already done. She talks negatively about law enforcement. She talks negatively about certain cultures in our country. Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I'll tell you right now that she said and I heard her say it behind closed doors on a video, and she said, it's not about winning the hearts and minds of this country. It's about creating laws and policies. And if that doesn't tell you anything right there, then you should be concerned, because it is about the hearts and minds of this country. It might be different when I go overseas, but the bottom line is that it is about, it's about changing our culture as a whole. We got to get on the same page and do it together, and we'll be stronger than we ever have before. And at least I think Trump has a really good perception of what that means about getting everybody united and on the same page.
I feel like for me, in a lot of ways, I almost blame myself for a lot of people voting without the information that I think they would need in order to make an intelligent decision. And the reason why is because, going back to something you pointed out, you're right. People want the salacious stuff. They want the juicy stuff. They want the things that's entertaining. And and to some degree, I get it. People go to work and they work all day long and they work their ass off and they come home and sometimes they just want to turn their brains off, right? And sometimes I wonder if I'm to blame, and I'm going to speak for myself because I'm not going to say you're the reason for this, but if maybe I'm not doing a good enough job in making it entertaining enough that they'll actually want to sit down and listen to it. You know what I mean?
You know why the first thing I told you is I said I'm concerned? I don't ever use the words I'm nervous or I'm freaking out. Yeah. But you know what I'm concerned about and I'm nervous about? I'm nervous that I didn't do enough. I'm nervous that I didn't put enough effort in. And you know what? For us, it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be the right time to continue to do as much as we need to get everybody on the same page. So for us, it's never going to feel like it's going to be enough effort. And, that's all we got to continue to do is be consistent. Hopefully we get our message across.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's concern and frustration because on top of that, too, it's kind of like some of these issues speak for themselves. When I'm talking about the Second Amendment, and I'm talking about the importance and the freedoms that come with the Second Amendment, how important it is for all of the other constitutional rights. I listen to some of the people on the other side talk about the Constitution and the rights we have in this country, and they stand up on their boxes and they praise them. Oh, our constitutional rights. Then when it comes to the issue of the Second Amendment, for some reason, it's seen as something that we could just kind of toss away, like it's not really that important, or that we can actually live without it.
The glue. It's the glue that holds it all together. And it's been that way since the beginning of this country. It's always going to be that way. And unfortunately, people get to live in their bubbles on a daily basis. And you know what? You don't have to use your gun to protect yourself. That's the freedom that we've created here. Yeah. And hopefully that doesn't happen. But the bottom line is that the people that are educated and have done enough research and get exposed to the right things, especially being overseas in other third world countries, I'm going to tell you right now, if that time comes, you're going to wish you had it. And not to mention just the fundamental right of protecting yourself. That's a whole other subject. But that's how we were born. That's how we have the constitutional rights we have to begin with. And you can't ever forget that, especially honoring history.
I low-key blame you. And the reason I blame you is because you guys did too good of a job over there to kind of allow us to live in this bubble that we live over here. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, if many people were just to see a snippet of some of the stuff that you guys have seen, it would click. Yeah. It would start to make sense.
It opens your eyes. It opens your eyes. When you're in the military and you get exposed to that type of experience and you go around the world several times, you take in a lot of information and you get to see America and the United States from a very, very different perspective. You get to look from the outside in, and it changes things. You get to connect reality in a different way. And, one of the things that I was going to say was, things like our past and our history, the World War II generation, the video that I did on the World War II generation, they fought so hard. They gave us the ability to be ignorant. They gave us the ability to walk through our living room with our latte and say, oh, the world looks really scary through my TV. Then you go check in at work at 9 o'clock anyway. Yeah. You don't care. And it's about connecting people and really making people throughout the entire country feel connected with our future. And to be able to fight for the freedoms we have is important. One of the movies I've seen recently, I don't know if you got to watch it, but Dinesh D'Souza's Hillary's America.
I watched like half of it. Half of it I watched. I was a little inebriated and I fell asleep.
Well, I don't know what your thoughts were, but I thought it was at least eye-opening in some aspects, where I think a lot of people don't understand history, and a lot of people don't understand how things are connected to our past. And just like the Second Amendment has allowed us to have all these other freedoms.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the parts of it that I did watch, it was incredibly eye-opening because there's so many subtleties and things that I didn't know, on top of the stuff I already knew, and it compounded on that. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to completely finish watching it. But again, it's like, how do you get people to sit down and watch that who already have their mind made up and what they think they know? You know,
Yeah.
the hard part in a lot of ways is challenging stuff that you already believe. People think that all I do is sit and read and fill my mind with stuff that I already believe with. No, I challenge these thoughts that I have. And then I look at the other side of things as well. And that's why I can speak on what I speak on so confidently. Because when you actually challenge your thoughts and your perspectives and you still arrive at the same conclusion, you can't really undermine that in a lot of ways. But we gotta take a quick break here. When we come back, I read some articles about potential terror attacks or threats of potential terror attacks on Election Day tomorrow. So I want to talk with you about that and get your perspective on it.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.